Welcome back to episode Whisper. Today we're diving into 14 huge spoilers for the upcoming week of Neighbours, from October 7th to 11th. Next week, we'll see Paul grappling with the tough choice to distance himself from Terese, while Melanie's new romance takes a surprising turn for the worse. Meanwhile, Andrew and Wendy continue to face their challenges, and Felix grows increasingly concerned that Holly isn't handling her recent trauma well. Stay tuned for our full guide to the 14 big moments coming up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates and insights. 1. Paul makes a difficult decision over Terese. Jane cautions Paul that his newfound closeness to Terese might not be in her best interest, given their troubled past. Although Paul attempts to maintain a platonic relationship with Terese, he finds himself conflicted when she lightly touches his arm. Later, Paul confides in Leo, expressing that he feels he's on the verge of crossing a boundary with Terese, and decides that he will keep his distance from her moving forward. 2. Terese faces rejection. Paul confides in Susan about his intention to keep a distance from Terese, but he asks her to keep an eye on Terese while she's clearly struggling with Toadie's departure. Once reassured by Susan, a conflicted Paul starts to ignore Terese's texts. Terese is hurt by the sudden rejection, but Susan suggests going out for lunch as a distraction. 3. Terese takes matters into her own hands. Unhappy that Paul is avoiding her, Terese heads to the day spa at Lassiter's with Susan, well aware that it's a time when Paul is likely to be there. Susan rumbles Terese's scheme and urges her to see that Paul is staying away for a good reason. She confirms that Paul's feelings for Terese remain strong and he doesn't want to cross any lines. Although Susan hopes this will give Terese the closure she needs, the revelation seems to have the opposite effect on her friend. 4. Melanie is left heartbroken. Melanie prepares for her date with the new man in her life and confides in Krista about how she hopes he'll be the one. Victor arrives at the waterhole to meet Melanie, and they quickly hit it off. When Jane and Nicolet arrive at the bar, Melanie is shocked to realize who Victor really is. To make matters worse, once their mutual connections to Ramsey Street are out in the open, Victor tells a disappointed Melanie that they can't see each other again. 5. Victor seeks forgiveness. Victor tells his family that he now realizes he made a big mistake by fleeing from Erinsborough after discovering that he wasn't dying. He's keen to make amends and wants his family to forgive him. Byron immediately vows that there'll be no further chances for Victor, but Nicolet stays quiet. When Byron calls out Nicolet for always forgiving their dad, she promises that this time will be different. 6. Nicolet gets tough with her father. Victor continues to make apologies to his family, as well as Leo, aware of the chaos he caused by pulling out of the vineyard deal. He offers to give Byron and Nicolet $100,000 to make amends for leaving them in the lurch when he fled from town. Nicolet is offended when she realizes that she is the last person Victor has approached on his apology tour around Erinsborough. Feeling like her father is taking her for granted, Nicolet tells Victor that she wants him to leave town. 7. Byron and Nicolet reflect on Victor's offer. Byron considers accepting Victor's $100,000 offer, as it would reduce his debt. Nicolet is less interested as she doesn't want to feel beholden to Victor after he has let her down so many times. Jane encourages Nicolet to think long and hard about the financial implications of turning the money down out of pride. Nicolet becomes reflective, while Jane orders Victor not to expect anything from the kids, even if they do take his money. With Victor crushed, Melanie takes pity on him and suggests they should go for a drink just as friends. 8. Andrew and Wendy remain at odds. Andrew tries to talk to Wendy, aware that he has annoyed her by not being more understanding over the situation with Quinn. Wendy is irritated by Andrew taking so long to make this move, so she refuses to speak to him as she feels it's based purely on his timeline. Remy points out to Wendy that the situation won't improve unless she's willing to talk to Andrew. Realizing that she's right, Wendy prepares to change her stance. 9. Andrew gets suspended. Andrew is really feeling the heat lately as he grapples with his marriage troubles. Between the stress at home and a rehearsal for the male review that goes completely off the rails, he's struggling to keep his cool. It's like everything is piling on top of him, making it hard to focus or even see a way out. When Wendy finally reaches out, hoping to have a heart-to-heart, Andrew just isn't in the right headspace. Instead of opening up, he shuts her down, feeling overwhelmed and unwilling to engage in a conversation that he knows could lead to more frustration. Things go from bad to worse when Andrew encounters a criminal suspect at work. Instead of handling the situation professionally, he lets his emotions get the better of him. He lashes out, getting physical and shouting right in the guy's face. It's a moment that highlights just how far Andrew has spiraled out of control, unable to manage his anger and frustration. This outburst is more than just a blip on his radar. It's a significant breach of protocol, especially for someone in law enforcement. As you can imagine, his actions don't go unnoticed. Andrew's bosses at the police station are quick to react, and they certainly aren't amused by his behavior. They decide to suspend him, a serious consequence that reflects how his personal issues have now spilled into his professional life. This suspension not only adds another layer of stress to his already complicated situation, but also forces Andrew to confront the reality of his choices and the impact they have on his life and career. 10. Byron and Erin make plans for the male review. Byron faces pressure to finalize his planned act for the male review. He's inspired when he remembers a routine that he used to perform for one of his clients when he was a male escort. Later in the week, Erin suffers a hamstring injury when rehearsing his own dance moves. Byron suggests turning Erin's planned solo routine into a duet, promising to take on responsibility for all of the most difficult moves. 11. Holly hides her inner turmoil. Holly's shift at the tram takes a tough turn when she's suddenly overwhelmed by the sounds around her. The clattering of cutlery and the rumble of vehicles bring back haunting memories from her recent hostage experience, making it hard for her to focus. It's as if the world around her has flipped a switch, triggering feelings of anxiety that she's been trying to manage. Felix, noticing that something's off, makes an effort to check in on her, but when he approaches, Holly brushes off his concerns, insisting that she's fine. It's clear that she's putting on a brave face, but inside, she's wrestling with her emotions. Later on, Holly discovers Felix in the tram after hours, and it hits her that he's actually been sleeping there. This moment opens her eyes to the fact that Felix might be dealing with his own struggles too. Seeing him in this vulnerable state makes her realize she's not the only one facing challenges. It's a turning point for Holly, as she starts to recognize that sometimes reaching out for help is essential, whether for herself or for those around her. This connection could be what both of them need to begin healing from their respective traumas. 12. Felix's attempt to help Holly backfires. Holly shows her irritation when Carl agrees that Felix can continue staying at the tram. Carl reasons that it's a better option than Felix mixing with other criminals at the halfway house, which could set back his progress. Susan is confused by Holly's anti-Felix stance after his heroic behavior during the siege. She doesn't realize that Holly's discomfort is due to Felix's attempts to make her face up to her PTSD. Felix persists by giving Holly a book about surviving trauma, but she jams it in the dishwasher. 13. Erin gets a new love interest. As Lassiter's is still short on numbers for the male review, Leo tries to secure a final performer. He and Leo team up to recruit local estate agent Rhett, who was recently overseeing the sale of Sonia's nursery. Rhett is convinced to come on board when he realizes that Erin will be teaching him the choreography. Leo figures out that Rhett may have a romantic interest in Erin, and his behavior in the rehearsals soon backs up this theory. 14. Dex's future is revealed. Kara receives 2 pieces of news. Not only has she passed her further education course, the university has also decided to offer Dexs the opportunity to study some computer science subjects early while he's finishing high school. Dexs is reluctant as he doesn't want to be different from his friends. Instead, the family decide to get Dexs signed up for a course at an independent college, which holds classes a few times a week outside school hours. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 14 huge spoilers for Neighbours next week. From Paul's struggle to distance himself from Terese to Melanie facing heartbreak and Andrew's emotional rollercoaster, it's clear that drama is brewing around every corner. Don't forget that Felix is also on a journey, trying to navigate his own challenges while being there for Holly. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay updated on all the latest happenings in Neighbours, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us here at Episode Whisper for more insights, analyses, and, of course, spoilers. We love hearing your thoughts, so drop your comments below about which storyline you're most excited to see unfold. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.